BYDFi is a crypto exchange on desktop and mobile where you can spot trade, futures trade, use leverage tokens, and copy the trades of top trade. There's hundreds of crypto available on their spot exchange, as well as a free test account so you can practice futures trading without getting wrecked. BYDFi. Hello everybody, welcome back. We're going to look at ZEC, right? So it's on request. Somebody's asked several times on the comments for me to look at this, and to be fair with you, I consider ZEC to be a decent hodl anyway, so I do have a decent portion of it. I would like to top it up more from lower levels as well, if we get the opportunity for that, but we might not. So we're looking at this on a 4 hour. You can see this this horizontal getting one big drive, two big drives, a bit messy over here, sort of messy over here, but generally staying within the range. And that bottom is going to be around 21.55, which on its own, you know, this chart on its own isn't particularly amazing. It's just like a lot of these other altcoins, and Bitcoin itself, to be fair with you, coming up to test these 4 hourly, 2 hour 200 simple and exponentials. Basically a death cross retest, the death cross taking place here and all the way back over here actually. So just coming up to retest those, but you know, we've been down in these little sort of areas for a while now, and you know, some altcoins are performing okay generally compared to Bitcoin. Now, obviously, if Bitcoin does take itself down to, you know, the mid 50s, maybe even lower 50s over the summer, it would be hard to imagine this one being able to sustain this area. But it, you know, for the moment, I was asked to do this video, so I thought I'll do it anyway. It's slightly different to the others. So based on this 4 hourly, if you're looking for continuation, because look, it's not in an uptrend or a downtrend, it's kind of accumulating in a sideways area. You know, we're technically bullish above $23, but resistances exist at 23.50. 23.87, and then the big one up here at like 24.30, we'll call it, where if we were to get back above here, we could actually start a breakout. You know, you could look at this in a variety of different ways. You get yourself a trend line in there. You can see, all right, fine, we've consolidated and now we've broken out, so we might stay in this accumulation zone for a little while. It doesn't have to break out immediately, but you know, based on what we're looking at this very moment in time, it looks relatively good. You know, from the top to the bottom, we've got a 10% range, which is very small, to be fair with you, for any kind of accumulation range. You know, we could assume that this could go down to the lows down at this level, 25% range, a little bit more like it. But again, you know, based on what we're seeing right this very moment in time, it actually looks quite good. I have to say, it looks actually okay. So we'll take it to a daily, see what the daily looks like. So the daily's reclaimed its Bollinger Band Center, backed up also with a 10 exponential and a 21 exponential as well. So even the daily is in a positive area. If we were to measure these targets, obviously this is a baby step move and it would still contain us within the range. If we were to break out of that, we do have moving averages above us, but the big ones equivalent to what we saw on the 4 hourly up here around $27, which is your 200 simple and exponential, which is going to be another death cross retest on a daily. So you'd be looking for rejections around there, to be honest with you, but that'd just be the start of it really. If you get rejected from there, hopefully we could get support back down at 24, and you could probably at that point confirm, or not maybe confirm, but be more likely that an uptrend is actually starting. So this also goes hand in hand with the way an accumulation generally looks. We've got a nice movement up, positive histograms curling up towards the 0 point. And obviously this wick low, you know, being a significant wick low. There wasn't any bullish divergence of any form, to be fair, leading into this bounce over here. This is just like a lot of the other altcoins, including Bitcoin itself, finding a significant low and springing from it, but so far still staying below areas of significance, really, not breaking out from what used to be support and is probably now resistance. But we'll see, So there's more to it than that. I'll take us up to the Bitcoin pair, and we can see that the Bitcoin pair is actually toying with the idea of breaking out on the 4 hourly. We've got ourselves above moving averages, all of them that would be. We've got pump signal as well. It's recently kicked in, so you might be looking for a bit of an extension on this one up to what, 3,900 sats. So another 100 sats to be gained on this current move. Going to take us up to a daily. What's going on over here? Pushing major resistance. Bollinger Band's tightening, quite tight really, and we've been surfing the Bollinger Band as well here on the daily, and it actually looks quite good. So same sort of accumulation vibe going on. So this one looks good versus Bitcoin. You break this resistance, you should start to see a bit more of an uptrend on this one. Possibly up to 4,500 sats. Again, you know, we are in a bit of a downwards market, so let's not beat around the bush. I'm only doing this because I was requested to do it, and that it looks similar to what you'd consider to be an uptrend, really. But do we take it seriously? This can uptrend while this one downtrends, but it is showing strength, you know. So I thought, all right, I'll make the video. There's something in it here, but we are pushing resistance, I have to say. But if we do break it, then yeah, like I say, 4,500 sats. Now, we are a down-only chart. This has been horrendous, but it's not dissimilar to most other altcoins. The zoom right out, it looks awful, it's terrible. But hang on a minute. What the heck is this? A giant mega wick. So on a horizontal basis, there's really not much to talk about when you're zooming out and zooming out and zooming out until you come across this. And you're like, okay, fair enough. Something exists down at these low levels. I mean, I don't know how to interpret it, but it does exist. And so maybe this might be part of the reason it's building strength at these levels, because it's the last stand before the mega support breaks. I wouldn't even really want to call it a mega support, but we will call it that for the time being because it does exist. It is further down than where we are right now, obviously, but it's worth looking at and thinking maybe between where we are, you know, now and down here, which is still a fair old drop, you know, maybe worthy of stacking some sats. Now, most altcoins all look like this. They all look like this. Right, down-only charts versus their Bitcoin pairs. There's only a few that don't. Chainlink is a good example of one that generally doesn't look like that, has its own thing going on. I think Solana is good. Obviously, Matic is pretty good. So there's a few that stand out from the crowd as something different, but most altcoins do look like this. And you know, obviously what we all want is for it to reclaim its former glory. It's very unlikely. But if you were to look at the tether pair, you're thinking, all right, what can it achieve? You know, what could it possibly achieve? Based on this weekly, it does look like an accumulation has been going on for a very long time. And so an accumulation of this size, which is a big one really, it's big, and the consolidation generally ended probably around here. So it's not been very long. So the accumulation sort of below these below the Bollinger Band and towards the top of the range that we've already established. So if we were to mark off a much larger accumulation than that one that we've seen on the 4-hourly, which again is only really a tradable area. So we've got probably at this stage now a bit more of a range which suits an altcoin accumulation. It's actually still very tight, to be honest with you. Still very tight. Half the size of what you'd imagine. Fair enough. It's half the size. It's still pretty good though. So I would class the accumulation beginning somewhere around October, where, well, the magical October where alt season kind of began. This one was pretty lame. We went up, we went down, we went up. We're probably, I reckon, if my thoughts on Bitcoin are correct, we will probably go down again. Where is the low on ZEC? It's down here, isn't it? 17. So that makes it feel a little bit more like a normal sized accumulation. It's still smaller than most, 50% range. I think the lower we go towards this area, around about $17, the more likely it is that we're going to find some educated guess that a low is going to be formed. Now, you know, things like Monero got taken off Binance, and fair play to them. I mean, it is a darknet currency. If they want to clean their act up, that's the sort of thing they're going to have to do. ZEC offers the same kind of facility, but isn't, from what I remember, isn't really used on the darknet. I could be wrong. And so there might be an attack on ZEC, and we might start getting taken off exchanges. So there is that element of doubt that is going to creep out of the woodwork and say, no, you can't have this, you can't trade this, this is dodgy stuff. That's fine, fair enough. But so far, I don't believe that is the case. I think this one has escaped the net. You can have lots of other privacy tokens, and it was only Monero that seemed to be used on the darknet. So we do have some bullish divergence on RSI, money flow index, and obviously I like the way that the MACD kind of looks. It does remind me of an accumulation type vibe, and I'll be looking to pick this up for the long term. The closer we get, well, as soon as we start getting down into the upper teens, 19, 18, 17 certainly. I'll pick this up. And if an accumulation breaks and the top of the range being $35, normally you'd expect something along the lines of like a 2x from there. So if you bought the low, so we got the 35, so we was looking for a 1x around about 70, and then another x on top of that. So we're talking roughly into the hundreds. It's about a 500% move from what I would consider to be an educated guess as to where the lows are going to be. So if we're going to think about that, as we've got about $100, anything going on at the $100 mark? Yes, there is. It's not neat, it's not tidy, but it exists. We do have some price action, resistance, support, and a breakdown. This is a weekly, by the way. All at that nice round number of $1,000. So, I mean, $100. So that would be my general expectation between this summer and the peak of the bull run. Now, if it breaks $100, which it could, obviously it could, it's a big resistance to break. The next area is going to be 162. Then next after that is 200. Then before you know it, 250, 300. So obviously the gains could be more significant. And so as we trend up, and if you bought these lows, if we come down to those levels, and you trend it up to, say, let's just say this area, 262, 1,460% gain, 14x on something like Zcash. That is kind of hopium, because we're talking theoretical price action. We're talking, I assume it's going to come down lower. I assume it's going to break a resistance over an 18-month period. I mean, technicals can't really do that. And there's a huge amount of bias or just making stuff up that goes into that kind of expectation. But this is what trading is. You do have to think far ahead about what the possibilities would be. I'm basing the downside move based on Bitcoin and what Bitcoin looks like at this very moment in time. Same thing with Ethereum. Ethereum is really just hanging on by a thread to its major support level, just below 3,000. So if it drops, everything should drop also. So I suppose, long story short, what I am saying here is that this one never caught a break in this portion of the bull market. It did some trading. It didn't really do much. I would look at this as an accumulation that's likely to end at some point towards the end of this year. And then the breakout, if we get sort of a surge of money going into crypto again, and I don't mean just Bitcoin, I mean crypto as a whole, then alt seasons will be longer lasting. They'll be much better than anything that we've seen recently. And again, it's not been too bad. It wasn't out of the ordinary to see 2, 3, 4, 500% and some of these alts that we bought since October. But it wasn't the 10, 20x's that we saw in the previous cycle. In 2020, for instance, it's not that type. It wasn't that type of move. For the most part, there weren't those sort of moves. But if the money pours in, like it did before, and it goes into something like this, then yeah, those moves are reasonable. I think people see moves, green candles on charts in a different way than I see them, right? So all a green candle means is that the buyers are buying for more than the current market price. That's all it is. Creates a green candle. And if that behavior continues, the green continues to be green, continues to be green and green and green and green and green. It goes parabolic. And most retailers use basic platforms where market orders are the norm. Coinbase, Crypto.com, stuff like that. Big platforms that aren't particularly trading platforms. They are buy now, sell later. Just buy it. At this price. It's a market order. Not many people are putting sort of limit orders in at these lower levels and limit orders on the way up at resistances. That's not really what most people are doing, let's face it. I mean, they're doing that at the moment because retailers aren't in. But when they do come in, that's how it works. And it's the reflection of market caps are, I feel, for the most part, are a bit of a red herring. And people say, well, if Zcash reaches X amount with its current market cap, it would have to have a market cap of 150 billion quadrillion zillion billion zillions. Well, yeah, it would reflect that, I suppose, but it's not really that, is it? It's not really that. It's the green and the red is just an imbalance of buyers versus sellers. And so when you look at sell walls, which we've got some clear sell walls here, haven't we? $34 is a clear sell wall. Once that breaks, then what's the next one after that? Based on a horizontal, we are talking 52. Based after that, we're looking for around about 72. And then, you know, if we were to clear 100, really it just starts to shoot up. Do I expect it to hold these levels? No. It's crypto. It's not going to hold these levels, you know. If it does go up further, it won't be for long, and it'll come crashing back down again. 'Tis the nature of crypto. But you see these sort of things all the time. I do. I'm sitting in the bath and I'm scrolling through YouTube, and I get people say, the market cap of XRP, if it were to go to $10, it's impossible. Because the market cap wouldn't allow for that. Well, come on now. It's not a business, is it? It's a crypto. Come on. The market cap will be half that a month later. Let's face it. Come on, let's just chill out a minute. That's madness. That's madness. I have a crypto. I was giving it out to patrons. If you're subscribed to Patreon for like 3 months, I'd give you some of the Jammer coin. And I created it as a joke. I had like 121 million of them or something like that was minted or whatever, and I had to add money to the liquidity pool because it obviously, that's how it works. So I put, all right, fine, I've got to value it somehow. So I put $500 in. So there's the liquidity pool, and I did it wrong basically. There is no wrong way to do it, but I kind of did it kind of wrong. I was supposed to value it a lot cheaper than it was. I ended up valuing it, I can't remember, but it wasn't fractions of a cent. It was in the cents. I think it might have even been something stupid like 20 cents a coin or something. I was like, I've done that wrong. Now, based on that, 20 cents per coin with 121 million of them, that would make me like a multi-millionaire, wouldn't it, really? And the market cap, if you were to think about it, would be enormous. But I can tell you now, there was no market cap. I put $500 into the liquidity pool, just to, there you go, everybody. If you want to cash it out, you can. I'd rather you didn't, but it's up to you if you did, and they could. And that was my 500 quid that they were tapping into. I said, well, that's fine if you want to do it. I can't stop you. It's just, it is what it is. But I can tell you now, the market cap was not in the hundreds of thousands, nor was it in the millions. There was only a liquidity pool of 500. So relax on the market cap, all right? That's not how it works. At one point, because some people have been buying it, I told everybody never to buy it. I said, don't buy this coin, don't buy it, don't buy it. Some people bought it. Because the liquidity pool was so small, it ended up trading at something like $7 each. Now, obviously, at that point, I'd be a billionaire. But that's not true. If anything, I lost 500 quid on that because, someone had to provide liquidity, and obviously it was going to be me, and that's what I did, and there you go. I lost 500 quid doing it. It was a joke. It was just it was the opposite of a rug pull. I rug pulled myself. I was giving back to the community. Either way, what I'm trying to put to you is, don't think about it like that. This is not stocks and shares. This is different. This is crypto. It's all about liquidity is all it's about. That's all it's about. It's a reference of buying and selling and liquidity. So, yeah, we've got a reference of where sell walls are. And if they break, the next ones are significant and significant and significant. And look, it could go up beyond all of that. I don't know. I'm not going to say that. But right now, all I can tell you is that there is a accumulation in play on the short-term time frames, but below that there's an accumulation on the higher-term time frames. And so if you want to see me buy this, because again I'm looking for could quite easily be a breakout from here, and it'd be a small one, take you into the upper $20 zones. It shouldn't really be able to take you any further than 34 in the short term. I'd be more interested in waiting to see it break down and come down to the upper teens. Start buying around, the upper teens really. 1750 seems appropriate, and then see if that is the one that can take you up to that, 1,000, maybe 2,000 % gain, which it could. And I'll be there with you. I have some already. I'll definitely be buying more down there. I think there's a good chance that this one does rally later on next year. But from what level? Probably from the upper teens. That's probably where it's going to start from, and that's where I would suggest, thinking about buying some. Right, I'll leave it with you there. Good luck. Take it easy.